I'm Evan Thomason for This Week in Santa Clarita. Right now I am joined with Jeff Barber, Arts and Events Supervisor for the City of Santa Clarita. Jeff, one of the things that you do is you oversee a lot of the city's public art exhibitions, and one of those exhibitions is right here at the Westfield Valencia Town Center's Town Center Art Space. So can you talk about, kind of the history of the art space, what it means for the community?
Sure. The space has been here about a year now, maybe a year and a half, and Westfield let us use this 20 by 20 foot space to curate exhibitions. We try to present a lot of different kinds of art to the public here in this space. We have a lot of space for sculpture, for interactive kind of exhibitions, and also we can put some art walls up and do some paintings. So we try to mix it up and do a lot of different things here.
And right now we have an exhibition by Scott Bruckner, who we're going to catch up with in a moment. What goes into the process of selecting these artists?
Well, there's a variety of different ways that these exhibitions happen. Sometimes we'll do research and we'll find traveling exhibitions that we decide to bring to the space. Other times artists will make themselves known to us, or we know them already and we kind of are interested in bringing that type of art. Again, we like to bring a variety of things to the space, and so we kind of look at our schedule and our calendar and what we've exhibited here thus far and what we want to continue to do, or something that has been missing. We'll go out and try to find that kind of art and then curate it here and present the exhibits.
And I think this is about the third or fourth exhibit that we've had so far?
I think it's about the fourth exhibit. There's been 2 sculpture exhibits. We've had an interactive exhibit that was through Cal Arts, and that was through their integrated media class, and they did sort of an audio scavenger hunt through the mall, which is very interesting. And then we had Diane Fotorero with her metal sculptures. The art challenge was a fun one where we picked 5 artists, and then we had 5 different stores in Westfield Valencia Town Center that they go to, and they had to spend all of their money that they were given at that store, and everything they purchased from that store had to be used in an art piece. We call that Art Challenge 1. And we're going to be doing Art Challenge 2 the beginning of 2011, which I'm really excited about.
And this exhibition by Scott Bruckner is recently installed. How long do residents have to see this?
About 3 months is what we try to do, sometimes 3.5 months. I think the next show, which will be an exciting one on the 50th anniversary of Bubble Wrap, which is going to be very interesting and challenging, I think, for artists in the community, where we'll send out a request for people to create works of art, pieces using bubble wrap as a component, and we're going to program an area here with a bubble wrap room that people can go into and see the art that the artists have responded to with bubble wrap. So that's going to be pretty interesting.
Jeff, I want to thank you. Right now we are going to go over to Scott Bruckner, the artist, the current artist featured in the Town Center Art Space at Westfield Valencia Town Center. Right now I'm here with local artist Scott Bruckner. Scott, you are the featured exhibit now in the Town Center Art Space. Can you talk about your collection?
Well, the pieces that I've done, I've started to do them about 10 or 12 years ago, and I use basically typical wood that you would get at Home Depot or at Lowe's, and most of my pieces come from wood that I've gotten from there. A lot of it is already warped wood, and I warp it more to make more curvature in the pieces. This one piece that I'd like to talk to you about today is a part of this exhibit, and I want to thank the city for allowing me to exhibit my pieces here. It's really a great opportunity for a local artist. Is this piece called 13. 13 pieces is actually, I cut each individual piece with a point on the end of it, and then started to put the pieces together, kind of like a puzzle for an artist. That was a real challenge, building something from the floor up using all these individual pieces that I had cut out. The reason it's called 13 pieces is actually I cut out 13 pieces but only used 12. The thing that's interesting about the piece that I find is a lot of people, when you tell them that, they'll start counting the pieces to try to see if they can find all 12 pieces there. So that was a fun piece to build, and it was kind of a challenge, as is any piece of artwork that I do, because you're kind of starting from an idea that you have in your head and trying to bring it together into a visual piece of work.
And this medium or this style of art would be called found art?
A lot of it is. As I'm evolving actually with my work, some of it is going into more finished pieces, because I find that it's better to have a finished piece of work people want to have in their home, and that's what I'm shooting for. You'll see in this exhibit today, I have 4 pieces. One of them is probably one of the rougher pieces I've ever done, which is one of my older pieces. It actually has color in it, which I find a lot of women like. And then some of the...
I'm sorry, that would be the one on the far end, or?
Right, the one on the far end that has blue, red, and yellow in it, as well as the natural wood. One of the reasons I went into sculpture rather than painting was because I found early on that I'm partially colorblind, so I can't really tell the difference in shades between colors. So that's caused me to go into something more structural, and that's why I ended up being a sculptor.
And there's a lot of lines in this, and a lot of visual texture. There's an integration also of stained glass I see in one of the pieces.
Right. What I found was, and actually one time in my life I used to be a glass apprentice, so I know how to cut glass. Okay. So I figured, why not use that in my pieces, so that I have started to integrate in the last 3 or 4 years stained glass into the pieces instead of just painting onto them. So,
what's the reaction that you get the most about your pieces of art?
The reaction I get is a lot of times people say, I've never seen anything like this before, which is exactly what I'm shooting for. I'm not a trained artist, but I've certainly done a lot of reading and up on the obvious medium and different techniques to use. And what I'm shooting for is to do something totally unique. One of my mentors is Alexander Calder, and Calder was the first one ever to make a mobile. Before he had done it, it had never been done before. So I'm shooting to do something different, not like everybody else.
So take us through a little bit of the process when you're starting with absolutely nothing. What's your inspiration, and where do you draw your inspiration from?
Actually, for my day job, I've been in insurance, and so a lot of times it's pretty dry, business to be in. So I'll be in a meeting or something, and sometimes a thought will just come to me, and I'll start to sketch out an initial design of how to put the pieces together, and then I'll go into my studio and start to actually build the piece. So, and then when it comes out kind of like the initial drawing, I'm a lot of times surprised that it's come out as well as it has. Right. So that's a part of the challenge.
Okay. Well, Scott, I want to thank you for sharing your art with everyone in Santa Clarita. I want to thank you for joining us today on This Week in Santa Clarita. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you come down to the Town Center art space at the Westfield Valencia Town Center to see Scott Bruckner's work in person.